Hey everybody. So, as you might already know, Teal Swan and our entire team have been going through a pretty overwhelming time right now as we're navigating these murky waters of slander and misinformation. And if you've seen episode 3 of the series, you know what I'm talking about probably by now. We're people that are committed to actually helping people, and in order for us to continue doing that, I feel it's important to set the record straight. And what we've been witnessing, with this is a barrage of misleading statements in the media, to which conversations that they show are just so spliced up and edited beyond belief that it makes it seem like one cohesive moment when it wasn't. On top of that, we're also dealing with, so much missing context that would require hours and hours of footage to be released, which we'd be happy to sign whatever it is as needed to have this raw footage released. And what you'll learn from it is just how malicious the editing was, and how many people were truly aided and transformed after going to Teal's events. And it breaks my heart to see how abysmally out of context this was taken, and how the true people that are shown as the heroes were the ones causing us stress behind the scenes. And in order to truly understand my stance with Blake and Juliana specifically, we have to go back to the beginning of when this all started. This was the storm that none of us saw coming. It's like living in New York and having a volcano erupt there, or you're in California and it becomes like the tornado alley of the United States. It didn't seem like a storm like that could even manifest where we were, but to our dismay, not only did it form, but it's been ravaging our particular area since about February 2021 now. At that point, I was still living in Portland, Oregon, working full time as executive of products for Teal's company, which I still do. And I kept in close daily contact with the team. And eventually, I'd been told of the Pandora's box that had been opened around that time. Blake had revealed to his newlywed wife, Juliana, while on a vacation, that he's still in love with and even more sexually attracted to Teal Swan, whom he'd been in a relationship with and even engaged to a very long time ago. And this induced a series of ruptures amongst the community, but what a lot of people don't realize is that it also ravaged the business behind the scenes. So, me personally, I wasn't there for much of the interpersonal conflict in person, more so just by virtue of association and caring about the well being of the community from afar, with what I'd been updated with. And having a full time job in the company, it was obvious to see that these matters were affecting us big time. All time, energy, and focus of the company, albeit myself and the employees that work remotely rather than directly inside of the community aspect of the company, went entirely to these conflicts. And from what it sounded like, the dynamics and ruptures became more intense and hellish by the day. Teal and her close personal team and her manager, who leads the business, spent months of full on days dedicated to resolve these ruptures and try to find repair. And really be in reality to take a look at these patterns and not be ripped apart. Nobody wants that. Nobody wanted that. Nobody was trying to let that be the case. This process took so much precious energy and time away from the business, and I can personally attest that because getting things approved, getting company questions answered, getting different areas of the business moving forward, such as new events or expanding the team or anything else, was at a near halt during all of this. And whenever I would hear from anybody or have a call with them, to say that they were depleted and defeated would be like the understatement of the century. There was even an instance where we felt like the situation was already intense and we were already handling a normal crisis, and then we got shit on by this conflict on top of it. We had just recently, also around this time too, decided that I'd be moving to Utah, and we got here, and there was this forest fire that manifested immediately here in Utah. So all of us here in the community, minus Blake and Juliana, needed to evacuate, and we ended up spending like 5 days in an Airbnb away from the fire blaze. And this was our final week before going to a synchronization workshop in Miami, which, by the way, was the first in-person event in over like 1.5 years at that point because of COVID. So we thought we'd be able to spend that week tediously preparing for the workshop, only to have been evacuated without any notice for any foreseeable amount of time, having to check by the hour to see if the fires were growing, if our belongings and homes were safe, having to do an online Q&A while at the evacuation Airbnb. Most of us were just in the same outfit for 5 days and getting home the night before we had to fly out to Miami. So within an hour of us getting home, Blake comes over and drops a bomb when we essentially needed to be, united as a team and preparing for the event that was so important because we haven't done one in almost 2 years. And he essentially denounced having a relationship with any of us except for Teal, and that he wants a 3-month break away from her, which didn't really even stick, by the way, and more limbo, where his wife's choice to not find resolution during these conflicts just brought up more pain for Teal and all of us, and it opened up this like black hole of doom in that her close friend and community member of 18 years who helped her out of her childhood nightmare essentially left. And now we need to pack and see if there's any sleep possible before we're up early to fly for an event. And this is just one of too many instances where we all got derailed with no way to repair it and just had to keep swimming, you know? And personally, I felt powerless all throughout these painful months because it seemed like they would never end. Now, remember how I said this all started in February of 2021? The moment where this forest fire happened and before the event, this was about the end of August. So already 6 months had gone by. And there was still no resolution being possible. And it seemed like there was no way that, Juliana would allow that possibility of repair. It's like there was just no desire for it. And it seemed like there was a stalemate there because of that, because we can't make somebody want to find a solution or get on good terms, So I really didn't know what I can do about that. And I can see, the damage it was causing for Teal, for the community, for the business, to me. Just felt like hit after hit. And maintaining a limbo status where Teal and everyone around her put every effort in to try this repair, but there was no possibility of it happening. And I know from years of personal experience that Teal will make every effort, even if it's a string of 16-hour days in a row, to find repair in her close community and relationships. And the only thing that prevents actual resolution is when the other party exhibits unworkability or opposes the desire for repair in and of itself. And the public really doesn't get to see this side of things, right? It's only happening right now because of what this series is showing you in a really horrific and like National Enquirer style of entertainment. And this makes me feel nauseous that this is even something we have to do, but it's important to do. It's important that everyone's in reality of what really happened behind the scenes and how we were affected by that, But, this painted picture where, Blake had a smooth transition into a better chapter, but in order for him to make that transition, he felt like he needed to set the previous one aflame, including the people in it. And while Teal Tribe seems to revel in his decision for his freedom, still seeing him as the innocent and pure being of light, the rest of us are kind of treating our burn wounds right now in the intensive care unit. What they don't tell you about phoenixes like us is that even though you'll be reborn, you will feel every ounce of the pain being burned alive. And while we're all in that process, not being able to share the reality of the pain we've all been in, it hurts just as much. I've watched the unworkability of this series of conflicts, continue to unravel its doom upon our community and in our company and in our own personal lives. Blake's been involved in Teal's business since its inception, so the ways that he's interconnected is massive and tangled. And we have to fill in the various roles that he played, from operating events and trainings, tending to the filming and video editing, working with the completion process website and overseeing the clinical trials, doing the taxes, the bookkeeping, taking care of the community, and so many more things than that. And what isn't often seen is how round the clock our team is working, even when things are flowing in alignment. Saying that we fill our plates is an enormous understatement. When it comes to a crisis, we can band together and address it head on. But when something is drawn out over 8 months and longer at this point, we all discover our limits and realize how much we relied on the support of Blake's position. and having to take on more responsibilities while we're finding proper replacements on top of mending our own emotional bodies and navigating the dynamics of the world today. In this series now, it's just impacted us immensely, and it's what's often not seen or thought about. And I believe in Teal. I believe in our team. If anyone's going to move from a space of surviving to thriving, it's us. And as Teal predicted for this past year, it was the year to become the most resilient in all areas of your life. And I don't think that any of us anticipated that this would be the venue upon which we would arrive at that resiliency. Will we move forward and strengthen? Yes, we will. From a space of reality and building a foundation that we can actually stand on. There's no other way to go but up. And as Teal would say, the better it gets, the better it gets. And I look forward to the day we've risen from the ashes and truly see how it was worth it. And given all that I've seen, witnessed, experienced, I can confidently say about Teal that she is the most loving and loyal human being that I have ever met in my life. She fights for people and for repair and for relationships, and takes all kinds of hits and attacks in the process when she's up against someone's destructive relationship patterns. I've even personally experienced this from when my own patterns, birthed from enmeshment trauma, have caused ruptures in the relationships, and how my own behavior has hurt Teal at times. But when both parties are always wanting resolution, we find a way to repair that and become stronger than ever because of it. I've never seen her give up on anyone, and even after everything that has happened in this series of conflicts, with Blake, I heard Teal still say to him, "I will never close my door to you." There is no one that Teal controls, or does she want that even? To me, hearing anyone call her a narcissist makes absolutely no sense. Teal transforms the pain in her life into gold, and she shares that gold with the rest of the world for free. To have an issue with Teal taking the painful relationship patterns that she's either personally experienced or witnessed and helping the world to solve them by maybe making an Ask Teal episode about it. To ask someone in her position to withhold this information from the public is no different than trying to keep a cancer cure hushed, or to solve a major math formula that can provide free energy to the world, but contain it to yourself instead. It makes no sense, and it isn't in integrity. Plus, if you go to the comment sections of the videos that Teal has done helping people solve relationship pitfalls, you'll see just how many people are struggling with these very same dynamics that she writes about, that she experiences in her own personal life, and how they've now been able to shift them because of the awareness Teal provided them and experience improvement. And I have personal experience with this even. If it weren't for my own codependency and fear of the emotion of anger, episodes Teal wrote based off of my own dynamics would not have been created, such as the videos called The Anger Hack, or Is It Your Truth or Is It Theirs? Not only did I get the awareness, but to see it help like thousands, millions of people is priceless to me, and it makes it feel extra worthwhile to have worked on it and solved it, because now I get to see how that gets to benefit the rest of the world through the pain that I already had gone through. It's amazing to see that. I fully support Teal being able to use circumstances in this way. To hear that Teal isn't accommodating or wanting win-win scenarios or third options with people just isn't in reality. It's not what I've seen. It's not what I've experienced in 7 years of knowing her. I touched on that not that long ago, and I've never seen a person care so deeply about people and still pull them in, even when they are the ones being cruel or difficult or clawing her face emotionally. Teal, like all people, will have personal boundaries, like anyone, and even some more when it comes to having a successful international career, so that she can actually succeed and get to new heights and help more people. And what I've personally seen is that there's an expectation that Teal shouldn't have any boundaries, and that she should just accommodate for others in a self-sacrificing way to her or her career because it's what people like Juliana or Blake do. But this was never agreed to. This is not the arrangement that was made. It's the opposite of what Teal teaches, in fact. So, for example, I don't know, if Teal needs someone to be available to film when she needs to, being on call was agreed upon, it's understood then that both parties feel it's a compatible fit, and that the person filming isn't just doing Teal a favor or accommodating her with an unspoken expectation that she'll accommodate them at a later date and only register it when Teal feels she needs to sacrifice herself to do something that she doesn't want to do for them, which is a takeaway from her or the company. This would be no different than any other job where you agree to take on a role or a task and then you follow through with it. Everyone in the community here or who is on our team is a free agent. You know, there's no compromise or compliance or forced upon rules in any way. There's guidelines like any business that enable us to have a strong team and safe home life for Teal and ourselves, yeah, but nobody's forced to say yes to anything or is prevented from discussing anything or finding third options or bringing anything up or even leaving if they wish. There's no circumstance where there's a prevention from anything. Free will always has and always has been present, always is. There is nothing ever in the way of bringing up concerns or requests or questions. It's encouraged, in fact, and it works well for us. One of Teal's videos goes into the concept of how our own self-concept can be the enemy of awakening. And this drawn out conflict has really shown me practically how this is true and how you can apply that. I truly believe that we all want to see ourselves as good. I mean, isn't that part of having a human ego? But where it goes awry is in circumstances like this, where somebody else must become the villain so as to absolve oneself of any blame, accountability, or wrongness, which is what I believe to be the case with Juliana and Blake, and they're making Teal the enemy here. I've known Teal since 2016, and I've worked intimately on this team since 2018. And I attest to everything I've said here, fully, 100%, of my own free will. It's sad that I have to say that, but it's true. Teal's not only the real deal when it comes to being the best, honestly, in the spiritual and self-help industry that I've seen and witnessed, but also the real deal when it comes to being, a real and true friend, a boss, and a teacher. I feel saddened to have experienced the amount of pain and turmoil that Teal has had to face and is still in the process of. And it gets so much worse when this whole thing is brought on the center stage for the world to see in such a wrong, messed up way where you're not even seeing the reality of it. You're not even seeing the footage as it was filmed or the conversations in full as they were had. And, because of these dynamics and allegations, I will choose over and over again, no matter what, to support Teal. And I ask you to help me do the same. If she's impacted your life too, tell me about it below. I want to hear your stories and where you've come from and where you are now after experiencing Teal's work. And to Blake and Juliana and also the media at large, I won't let Teal be slandered. But at the same time, I really hope that you get to feel the sense of free will that we have in our lives. It's my wish that you'll come to see the ways where Teal was for you too, from the very beginning. And with Blake and Juliana, even though it's painful to see where you might not have been a good person at times, it's a truly liberating experience to admit fault when fault is there. And not only does that allow you to be in reality, but to make a conscious choice about what you do about it. If relationships are something you value, so as to find repair and just figure it out together. Our mission to help humanity experience less suffering in their lives will still proceed. And I really wish it didn't have to be this way, but here we are. I stand behind what Teal's doing and what we're doing 1,000,000%. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and to see the reality of what it's really like behind the scenes for us. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye, guys.